Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today I have a video that I'm really excited about. So I have 10 historical romances here that I want to be prioritizing in 2023. A lot of these are classics, so books that I would consider to be classics that I think that I should have read by now that I haven't. And some of these are just books that I've had on my radar for a really long time, and for whatever reason, maybe there wasn't an audiobook available, maybe I wasn't in the mood for it, maybe it was hiding on my shelves and I just haven't gotten to it. So we're gonna go ahead and go through these. I'm very excited. These are happening in 2023. I'm telling you. Okay, the first book that I want to talk about is none other than Gentle Rogue by Joanna Lindsey. I have not read this book. Truthfully, I have never read a Joanna Lindsey because I'm a bit scared. I haven't heard great things, but this whole like TBR video, all of these are books that I just want to go into for the experience of reading, especially like a book like this, a piece of historical romance history. Like, I'm not going to be seeing if it holds up or whatever. Like, I'm not going to be holding the hero to modern day romance hero standards that I prefer, but I really just want to go into this and think to myself, why is this so well beloved now? And why was it so much a popular book of its time? Like, I really want to experience that. I want to have a greater understanding for some of these classic historicals that I sadly have not gotten to yet. So this is definitely one of them, and I love and adore this cover. Now, this one I probably should have started with, however, I did not. It is The Wolf and the Dove by Kathleen Woodiwiss. I have never read a Kathleen Woodiwiss, and I very much want to be reading this and prioritizing this. I actually was trying to find The Flame and the Flower, but I know I have that on my shelves. I need to reorganize them so badly, but I couldn't find it, and I just thought, you know, I really want to read this one too, so we're gonna go with The Wolf and the Dove for this one. Okay, so now this book, it makes me a little nervous, but I'm also really excited because this is actually like a reading project that I really enjoy doing with any author that I love, and that's reading their first book and then sort of seeing how their craft has grown and evolved over time. And Lisa Kleypas is, without a doubt, my favorite historical romance author. I just love and adore her so much. And this was her first book, and I believe she wrote it when she was very young. Like, she was a beauty queen. Yeah, so she's a 22-year-old graduate. She was 22 years old when she wrote this. So I just want to go into it and experience it, and I am very excited for it. Okay, so this one is one that I know several people have wanted me to read, and I'm excited, but also nervous. Like, all of these books, mostly, there's a bit of nervous feelings here because either because of what people have told me or expectations I have in my mind, or, you know, I mean, like, there's a certain amount of safety in just having a book, like a classic historical romance book on your shelf that you're like, one day I'll get to that. Until that day, I don't have to have, like, my illusions destroyed or whatever. But, like, I do feel like I'm going to enjoy this book, and it is Devil's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. I have read one other Stephanie Lawrence book, and I did not like that at all. However, I feel like I've heard much better things about this one, so I definitely need to read it. Okay, so this is another piece of, I think, required reading for historical romance readers, which I have not read yet, and it is A Kingdom of Dreams by Judith McNaught. I feel like of all of the Judith, like, this cover is so gorgeous, but it's like hanging on there by a thread. I feel like of all the Judith McNaught books that I've heard people talk about, this one is the one that is most universally well-loved, and honestly, I can't help but think of Samantha from Books with Samantha whenever I even talk about Judith McNaught. I still have not read this author yet, for the feelings that I've talked about previously, but I really very much want to get into this and experience it. Okay, so now this is a book by an author that I have read before. One of her books didn't really work for me, and one of them ended up being one of my favorites of all time, and it is Loretta Chase. So I definitely want to read more of her books, and I specifically want to go back into more of this series. I just feel like this is going to be, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to feel about this book, but I really admire Loretta Chase's writing. I think that she's a really great writer. She has a really unique writing style, and I love what she did in, obviously, Lord of Scoundrels. That's the book I was talking about that became an all-time favorite. This is part of that series, and I just want to experience it. I just want to experience it. Okay, so this book is one. This was actually the first book by this author that I bought, that I had heard about, that sort of turned me on to this author's work. I've since gone on to read a lot more books from her. However, I have not read this book, and it is Much Ado About You by Eloisa James. I know that I think this is like an age, well, I mean, you know, it's pretty common for historicals to have an age gap, but I think that's what it is with the hero takes in sisters and he's like their ward, and I believe there's like horses involved in this too. Horse mad young lord. So, I mean, I like horses. I like horse books, so I've actually started this book several times before, and for whatever reason, I think the nerves just, I didn't finish it. I don't know why. So this is an author that I have been holding on to because I have a feeling I'm going to love her work. I have a feeling that she's going to very specifically work for me. And the book I want to read is this book that was gifted to me by a subscriber, and it is A Lady's Code of Misconduct. So Meredith Duran is an author that I hear a lot about, and I think I hear a lot about how emotional, and I think some of her books are angsty, but I think from what I've heard about her writing that she's going to be a favorite of mine. Like, a lot of people really love her writing and talk about how excellent her craft is, and that's always like, that's ringing my bell. I really like that. So this is the year, 2023 is the year that I am going to read this for sure, no matter what. Okay, so now this book is on here only because I heard about this from Sarah McLean. Sarah McLean recommends this book all the time. I dearly love Sarah McLean. I am a Sarah McLean stan, and I always will be. I think that she's a fantastic author. I love and adore her. Her books mean a lot to me. So, just putting that out there. You don't need to tell me if you don't like her books. It's okay. I don't need to know. You can think that, but I don't need to know that because I love her. Anyway. Anyway. The book that she talks about often is One Night is Never Enough by Anne Mallory. And there is no audio. Like, one of the main reasons a lot of these books are on here is because there isn't an audio available. And so much of my time reading books in the last 2 years has been reading arcs. And I've decided to kind of step back from that and be very, very, very selective about the arcs that I do accept and pick, and just devote more time to reading books that I want to read, which is the whole reason I started the BookTube account, was so I could talk about books that I want to read. And so I do feel like I'm going to have more time to get into these books since I won't be devoting so much time to arcs. And I'm very excited about this one. I know I'm not telling you anything about what these books are about, and I apologize, but truthfully, I don't really know. I think some of these books are so well known that you kind of know the plot of them anyway. And for the other ones, I apologize. You'll hear about it when I wrap it up. Okay, and the last book that is on this list that I honestly feel like everybody who has told me about this book, they're like, I can't believe you haven't read that yet, you're going to love it. And honestly, that kind of is what makes me hesitant to read it, because I just get a certain type of feeling when people are like, I know you're going to love this, and then I'm like, but what if I don't? What if I don't? And I also sort of feel like it kind of almost gives me an internal bias to look for flaws. If so many people have told me you're going to love this, I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Then I kind of go into it with the mindset of, oh yeah? You know, like, I'm just weird like that. Okay, I'm sorry. So this book is Flowers from the Storm by Laura Kinsale. I just have a feeling I'm going to love this. I have a feeling I'm going to love this. I feel like I know a little bit about what this is about, that he is a disabled hero, and that's pretty much all I know. So he's definitely got a lot of internal turmoil, and I think that this book is pretty heartbreaking at parts, which, sign me up. I'm in the mood for heartbreak with the HEA, clarify that. And yeah, I feel like, again, this is an author I mean, I'd heard of Laura Kinsale for years, right? If you have any interest in historical romance at all, you've heard of Laura Kinsale. But I never really was inspired to pick her up until Kennedy Ryan told me about her, and she was like, you're going to love her. You really need to love her. And this was like years ago when I first started reading Kennedy's books, and we were kind of messaging back and forth. She was like, you have got to read Laura Kinsale. And I have not read her yet. But 2023 is the year. It is the year. Honestly, I debated putting this on here because I still feel like maybe there's a chance I'll read this in 2022. And there might be. There might be. You may see this in my December wrap-up. Who knows? But I have just recently been, once again, in a really big historical romance mood. And I was thinking about the books that I consider to be classics or books that I just haven't gotten to yet that I've always been like, I want to read that book. And these are the 10 that I came up with. So I'm excited about this. I feel like historical romance has kind of taken a back burner for me, and I'm sad about that, and I want to get back to reading and talking about it and just really loving it, because some of my favorite reading experiences are all about historical romances. And so there's my list. There are my top 10 must reads for me for 2023. So let me know if you think that I need to add anything to this list. I mean, obviously that's assuming you know what I've read. I've read most of Lisa Kleypas' books, just put that out there. And Julia Quinn, and a lot of them. Joanna Shoup. I've read a lot. I've read a lot of the more newer historical romance authors, and not so much of the older ones, and that's kind of something that I want to change. So, alright, thank you so much for watching. Cassie says hello. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.